Hello, everyone, and welcome to Off the Record with Judah,
Kirk,
and Gabe.
Fantastic. Today we have an extra special episode that we're going to be doing kind of an event series for things that we want to cover going forward. So we're going to start off, today we're going to be talking about DCKO, specifically the first issue, which all of us have read here. And it's going to be some fun. We're going to go brief summary over it, then we're going to go through what we liked about it. Just kind of converse about, our enjoyment of it, what happened in it, what we kind of could see coming out of this, and things like that.
And we're going for a more conversational vibe, too. So it'll be a little different than the rest of the stuff we've done so far.
110%. But if you like what we're doing here, go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification button, drop us a like. And if you've read this issue and you have a review of it, drop that down in the comments below. We'd love to see what you guys thought of this. And if you just have any comments about what you want us to cover, also drop that down below.
Yeah. And we're also going to be trying to just follow, current things. So this is a current event with DC, right?
Fresh
and then when
presses.
Star Trek shows come out, we'll watch those week by week as they come out and things like that, too.
Things like that, yeah. Yep. So, let's dig right in then. So, we are digging into DCKO, and we are having a kind of crazy event that has the stakes of the entire universe on the line, right? Mm-hmm. And so, our heroes have to fight in a tournament to gain the power of the King Omega to defeat Darkseid and save their universe.
And this is building a lot off of the Absolute Universe runs that we've been covering a little bit on this podcast, as well as when we did the the All In and the Alpha Omega stuff.
Yeah, and Superman Rise of the Superwoman.
And were you here for that one, Gabe?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
He
Gabe was actually here for
the
the All In and Alpha Omega, too, so maybe we just have to keep you coming back here every time we do something.
He just might be our special guest.
Hey,
yeah.
But,
so, Judah, a little bit of a summary.
It's a little bit of a summary. So, again, basics. What happens is we kind of jump in at the future, which we find out later, where Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Lois Lane having a little bit of a game night, right?
Chill thing. And it's kind of disrupted when Darkseid just kind of casually shows up, but he doesn't just show up where they are in Metropolis. He shows up all across the universe, in Themyscira, Oa, the planet, and all across, the universe, the known universe. And then they have a fight with him, and they lose.
Big time.
And they're big time, horribly. And then they're brought back in time by the Time Trapper and the Quantum Quorum, which is a bunch of characters that have been set up from some of the All-In series. We talked about the Time Trapper when we did Rise of the Superwoman.
Yep.
And we got to see a bit of his origin. But basically, the Quantum Quorum warns the Justice League and all the heroes of the DC Universe that Darkseid is coming, and they have a week to prepare to stop him. Mm-hmm. And the Quantum Quorum's idea to save the DC Universe is to reboot it, which is kind of an interesting thing. We might dig into that a bit. But they ask if there's another way to do it, and they talk about the Heart of Apocalypse and being able to reboot the Heart of Apocalypse, right? Mm-hmm. And if they reboot the Heart of Apocalypse, they will gain the same power that Darkseid has, having an equal energy to defeat Darkseid, right?
Yeah.
Which is something that Batman is for. And part of going into the Heart of Apocalypse and doing that is it's going to be like a tournament to decide who is the best and who is the most ruthless of all of these heroes, who's willing to conquer and give it all up. Superman is not for that, though he is convinced, and so we see a week of them preparing, right? So we see them just gathering up all the supervillains, we see them, spending time with their families, gathering their weapons for the fight, and then we see them finally go into the Heart of Apocalypse, where some crazy things happened. But in the end, we basically end up with a 32-man tournament to decide who will be the King Omega.
And a big part of it, too, is that a lot of the supervillains actually were able to show up, too.
Yeah,
so they are part of the bracket.
For the story. The supervillains are a part of the bracket, which is kind of... Especially with one of the characters who got knocked out of the bracket.
Yes, and we'll talk about that as we start going a little bit more chronologically in the story. But
yeah. So, overall, I thought personally that this was a great starting issue, and I think this has been the best first issue for an event that DC's done, maybe this entire decade. This is the most fun I've had reading a DC event since probably Rebirth. Mm-hmm. And it's that level of good. I'm interested... Yeah. Kirk, what were your overall thoughts on this before we dig into it?
Yeah, it was immersive when I was reading it. I was able to just really get into the right headspace for reading it as I was going through. It felt like just a very solid story that they kind of thought about all of the ways of approaching the story from all the people who, like me, don't really know that much. I mean, I guess I do have some context from some of the videos that we've done for this podcast, but there's actually been a lot of stories that do lead into this that I am totally unaware of.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was still able to just read it and appreciate what was happening in the story.
Yeah.
Although Judah was sitting next to me as I was reading it, so I did have some questions as we were going along. But
And
that was more just auxiliary, like me wanting to know things rather than it being some fault of the story. So
Yeah. So, and Gabe, you came into this completely blind from my knowledge. So
Yeah.
what did you think of it overall?
Well, minus us talking about the all
Right,
in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Minus the little bits of and pieces of All In I picked up. Yeah, I got it. We picked it up the same time and just kind of like read, Judah and I. And it was like within the first few pages, I was just hooked. And, you know, I love comics. So it's not terribly hard to get me hooked onto a comic, but this was like next level.
Yeah.
You know, I was just sucked into it. And there were several times, like probably 4 or 5 times where I had to like stop reading and just like process through what was happening.
Take it all
in. Take
it all in.
literally,
Yeah.
taking it all in because they're just so intense and so many just moments where you're like, what? They did that? You know, even if it was the smallest thing. But like, it makes me really excited for the future issues that they're going to release and, you know, what else they have in store. I don't think I've been this excited for a comic book series or event in like years.
Yeah. It's so exciting. It's so fascinating. I think our general consensus is that it's good and you should go read it.
Which is kind of surprising because I'm not usually one for let's just pit all the superheroes up against each other.
Yeah.
Normally I find those stupid, but the way they're doing this is pretty...
Yeah,
It's very
because there's
it's
like
really
there's a
intriguing.
reason behind it.
Yeah.
There's like lore for it, and it's also not just like, hey, we're losing money. We need to just do something to get people in.
Right.
They've been setting this up. Like it's a natural follow up to the story. Now, you know, they didn't necessarily have to like make it so that the heart of what's it called? Apocalypse had to like make it a tournament. Like technically, that it's not set up that it has to be like that. But the general idea of we have to stop Darkseid and the Heart of Apocalypse has been something that's been set up. And so they're just able to kind of adapt it into this, but it makes sense in this universe and in the storyline that they've been telling, which is really cool too. Because oftentimes you do, like Gabe is saying, like this is not the kind of thing that usually would either do well or I would be interested in, because often it's just like a marketing push.
Right.
Like they're just like, we're losing money. We got to fix this problem. Let's just do something crazy to get people to buy our comics for a short time.
And it kind of creates, the way they're setting it up, creates a lot of just fan interaction.
Yeah.
Even, you know, just the way they've been kind of hiding some of the covers and like
And talking about
redacting.
the fights.
So like the
fight
speculation
names and
like,
stuff like that. So it creates interest and you're like, oh, how's the matchup going to go? Like, what's going to
It gets
happen
you talking.
here?
It's
You
It reminds me a lot of like the new Rockstar speculation when they go through the trailer of some new movie for Marvel that's coming out. It's very reminiscent of that for me.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah. So I want to start going through this kind of chronologically and talking about points. So I want to talk about kind of the intro bit and then the they go back in time because time travel hits them.
Right.
So I'll start with what I really liked about it, which was when we open on this monologue, which we find out, again, spoilers for this issue. If you've gotten this far, we've already dropped some. But at the same time, spoilers. What we find out later is the Heart of Apocalypse is narrating, and we see what Superman's going to bring to the fight, which is these Dawn Star Knuckles. And I love the concept of them, just like the fact that it is something that like a Silver Age Superman would do, where he would go on like a mini adventure to go find some suns of like abandoned galaxies and forge them into like these awesome brass knuckles. Like it's just such a cool concept. I really like that part of it. And then I really liked the kind of setup for the issue that not only set up the story of the issue, but also set up some of how the panels were laid out with the board game at the beginning. So what were some of the things y'all liked about the first section in there? And Kirk, Gabe, feel free to pitch in. What about that part really stuck out to you?
Yeah, I thought that kind of like intro thing that Judah was talking about, where it just started with Superman's perspective, and like, you know, it was saying, you know, he's fought before, you know, and then we get the indication that like the gate or whatever opened, and you just see this like shocked look on Superman's face, and then it cut away.
Yeah.
And stylistically and like from a production perspective, I guess that is exactly what they should have done. Like that was the best choice there, because it creates that sense of suspense. I will say, just to put a little bit of criticism in there, the kind of beginning stuff going from the intro and with the whole board game thing, it was a little confusing at first, trying to figure out, and then because then they also did time travel.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard to tell what was actually happening.
Yeah.
But you kind of figure it out as the issue goes along, so it's only a minor.
And that's
critique.
good too, that it kind of sorts itself out.
Yeah.
The main thing that I really focused on was it starting in medias res. We've talked about this happening before on this podcast, actually. And the transcript AI thing does not know how to spell that, so I'm going to have to go in and fix that now. But first, there are two ways that it starts in medias res. The first is that it's just Superman, like you're saying, with the sun brass knuckles, and like it starts with that. And then it cuts to a different, technically not, but also technically in medias res of... they have this fight with Darkseid, like they're doing the board game and stuff, and then they go and they fight Darkseid. And that, while for the characters, it's like that happens and then they're transported back in time and then time flows again. For the actual technical timeline, that's in the middle of the timeline there too. So in two ways it's doing that. And that's something that just really stuck out to me as I was reading. But actually as a bit of similar to Gabe, where I was confused is... with the time travel thing, I didn't know that this was the heroes being transported back in time. I thought that this was the... what's the group?
The Quantum Quorum.
The Quantum Quorum. I thought that... Great alliteration. I thought that was the Quantum Quorum seeing the future and then telling the people from a week ago, this superheroes from a week ago, that this is what was happening. And then I was starting to get confused as like... It seemed like Superman was having flashbacks to something that I didn't think he actually lived through. Yeah. I did figure it out at the end, like Gabe was saying. But that was one thing that it was a little confusing for me that I didn't pick up on that. Like, and there was actually in the All In and then Alpha Omega, there was another thing there too where there was a little fidget with the time. Yeah. And like I didn't pick up on it then either. So maybe that's just something like with me in comics, it's harder for me to pick up on that. But that was one issue I did have.
And a lot of the time travel stuff that, like again, you talk about Alpha Omega, where you didn't realize that there was the thing where they kind of forgot they sent Booster over to the other world with the time travel stuff, right? It's the way that they have done recently, and I think maybe this is something they're pulling from the past. The way they have done time travel, it's not really stated in the narration. It's kind of shown to you in a visual sense, and I think that maybe it's hard for us sometimes because like you're looking at it, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to see that happening, right?
Yeah.
But if you have that keen eye and you're looking for it, you can kind of see like, oh, there's that little like blue light at that side panel. That means that we're going back in time, and we see it in the top corner, and then we're in a different time. Like, it's kind of interesting, but
But if you don't know that ahead of time, then
it's confusing, and it is a valid criticism. I think that has been the primary people like after we do the time travel bit, it makes sense going forward, right?
Yeah.
But people's main criticism or critique so far is that we've used time travel. That also opens the door for us to use time travel later if things don't go well. So, like, there's some speculation there with having used time travel and stuff like that.
And with that, I don't really care about the using time travel. I just want to actually know that it's happened.
That's valid. That's very, very valid.
What's funny is I just remembered part of my confusion was because they did the whole, like, Superman's preparing for a battle intro scene, and then the next scene is, like, on the board game, the Superman board game piece. So I at first thought that whole arena thing was like them playing some live action board like role play like D&D style board game, and I was like, oh, they're doing like is this what? I was really confused for a minute. I was like, is this just what DCKO is going to be? They're like going to be playing D&D.
Yeah, I actually for a brief moment I did think that would be the case too. I was like, wait, is this just going to be like a really funny way of like subverting expectations? But that it was a very
They
very
quickly
brief
changed it.
moment in my
Yeah.
mind that I thought that I didn't actually ever give it too much thought. But
Yeah, no.
it is something that like popped. I was like, wait, hold on.
Yeah,
But,
they
yeah.
changed it very quickly with probably one of my favorite moments when like Superman was just getting like
He's looking
just
at the board.
whooped,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Man, who made this?" And he looks at it, and it's basically Wayne Industries, and
He's like,
it's
"Bruce."
like Bruce again.
Yeah.
It's like every power up is Batman theme.
Yeah. What about you, Judah? Though.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I like the way that set up the issue. Really, like I love the way that the board. Like again, it's confusing because we do go from him about to enter the arena. Superman is him in this case to them playing board games in the future to them going back in time. That is confusing. I do, however, like how they set up the board game for that to be then incorporated into the visual sense.
Right.
Because I don't know if
Yes,
you noticed
because
that.
it has like a
Yeah.
winding, like it's like the like Candy Trail or whatever in board games that like winds across the board, and that's how they do the comics on some of the like for the
like once we
2-page
enter
spreads.
the arena, which we're gonna get to the arena. Once we enter the arena, it is all just laid out like a board game. Like you start in the top corner, and you go up and you go down and back and stuff. And I just love the way that worked visually.
And it's very natural, like. You know, obviously for you,
Yeah.
being a big comic book reader, you can naturally pick up on, like, the different things that they'll do and how to direct your eye across the page,
Yeah.
or pages, right? And sometimes it can be confusing for me when they do things like that, where, like, the top half of the page is a double page spread, but the bottom half of the 2 pages are, like, you read one up to, like, top to bottom, and then you go to the next top to bottom, like you would a regular book, right?
Yeah.
So for some of that, it can be a little bit harder for me to pick up on, like, actually what's the order of, like, reading things.
Yeah.
But with that one, it very just naturally
flowed well.
guides your eye,
Yeah.
and it's just you
I don't
naturally
know how the
understand it,
artist
and
did
it was
but-
just good. It was just very good.
Because like it is I guess groundbreaking and experimental a little bit with the way they were laying it out. But you do like it is not hard to follow. And I have read some comics where it is pretty visually hard to follow when they start changing it up. But like this. And then and then like Absolute Wonder Woman in some senses has done stuff like that. But I really do love how they set that up in the beginning, and then
we've pulled it up now so Gabe can look through it.
It's in the second chapter, the part we're talking about of it. If you've read the
I think it's
comic
chapter
or
3
have it.
actually.
Is it chapter 3?
Yeah,
I don't
it's
think so.
really far towards the end.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
it is.
chapter
It's
3.
barely into chapter 3. But what I'm noticing here is like they even start so in between the pages that have the special design. Like if you look at them, they connect over.
It like lines up.
It's
It
beautiful.
lines up perfectly. So like if you have multiple
Even when you flip the
issues,
page.
you could like connect them together. And it's
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
it also, and I'm just picking up on this now that we're
talking about
actually looking at the page too,
Yeah.
and spending more time with it. So we're in the third chapter again, and they do one double page, like you're going through this maze type deal, and then they continue on the next page like we just talked about. But then it very naturally like fades out at the end of the second page into looking like a regular comic again. Like the colors start to match up, and then they put in the background, instead of it just being a white background like they had previously, they start actually putting
some borders
a
in.
fade of the art in the background until then it fades back into just like the
Panels,
square
yeah.
comic panels, right? And so
It's super
it's
cool.
just it perfectly directs your eye the way it needs to be directed, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
And even for somebody like me, as I've mentioned a million times over this podcast, who is not very good at reading comics and doesn't know very much about it, it just worked. It was natural. It's like just good.
Yeah.
They thought it through.
They did,
Yeah.
and I love the fact that they took the time to think it through and make it distinct. But moving on to our next section, which I'm going to say we're going to go from when they do the time travel bit to before they, start enacting the 7-day stuff.
Yeah.
So what do we think of, like, the Quantum Quorum, how kind of... It was very exposition heavy, this part, but it didn't feel, like, unnecessary, and also you had some sassy characters. Kirk remarked about Grodd. Maybe, Kirk, you can talk a little bit about that.
So it was just... when you have a big expedition dump like that, what did I say? Expedition? Exposition. Gosh. When you have a big exposition dump like that, it can be like hard to get through, and you just have to, it's a drudge, right? But when you have little moments in there, like with Grodd showing up and like just being sassy or jerk, or just like, being what he was in this, it's very helpful to kind of just keep the pace going and keep things moving. And then they, at a point here, they also kind of change scenes to like they've stepped away from the quorum a little bit. They're talking about it before they go back and make the decision. It kind of changes the pace a little bit and it makes it a little easier, right? Even when you're doing an exposition dump like this, it still flows properly so that it doesn't feel like you're just like, I gotta get through this. I gotta get through this. It's just
not just like one
to get to the good
character
stuff. I have to
speaking
read
in
this.
essays. It's not just one character speaking in essays. There's interaction. Like
Yeah.
Grodd's in there. You have Batman giving his input. Green Lantern here, and I love where Nightwing quotes Grodd, who said nope earlier in Assassin Way, where he's like, as the gorilla said nope. Like, there's fun interactions like that, and also,
and it makes them feel like real people who are actually having a conversation and who are actually trying to figure something out.
I thought what was interesting to me about this was that like they basically had to convince the Quantum Quorum. They basically had to convince the Quantum Quorum to go along with this idea before they even convinced Superman to. Like there was just like levels of like convincing.
Because the Quantum Quorum was 100%
they wanted to just
on board.
reset the universe. They were like, hey guys, maybe just like reset the whole thing, and then you'll have a whole nother universe worth of time before this happens again, and then we can just reset again and keep doing this.
Which is literally Ragnarok, by the way.
It is.
And then I forget who was it that was it. Flash or Green Lantern who said like absolutely not.
Let's see.
Absolutely not.
I'm pretty sure it was like Flash was like no, because one of them asked like, will we remember any of this
I think it was
stuff?
Flash.
Yeah, it was Flash. I think, or no.
Was it?
So
doesn't matter who it
This
was.
reality is our history, our story. Without it, what would we be?
Yeah, I think it's right over. Oh, it's Zatanna says, would we remember? And then they say no. And then Flash basically says, yeah, it sounds like running, and we don't run. Which
then he says, well, I do, but I'm the only one.
But the idea is, like, I like how they were opposed to that.
Yeah, they don't want to lose this strand of their story,
They care about, all of the things that happen. They're not just like, we'll just reset it to make sure all the bad stuff doesn't happen.
Because it wouldn't really be them, though.
Yeah,
because
it would be
Zatanna's question is,
would
we remember it? No. So it's not really you.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say, like, when you forget things, it's still you. Like, if you have dementia, right, it's not that you've become a different person. But when you're doing things, like, with changing the timelines, and it's like, is it really you? Not really.
It's not the same. You can't ensure you would be the exact same person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or the same experiences that you would want to happen,
keep and preserve.
You can't say that would happen. Like you could be an entirely different version of you, and so they're like, nah, we don't want to do that. But the Quantum Quorum was 100% like this. They were really giving the plan, but they were saying it not like, hey, can we do this? They were presenting it in more like a, hey, we kind of got to do this.
Yeah.
And so what you mentioned, I don't remember which one of you it was, but what you mentioned was that they had to convince the Quantum Quorum first before actually convincing Superman about it. And Superman was a pretty easy convincing. I mean, it was just like, hey, it's board games.
Yeah.
It's like a fun we're going to kill each other, sure. Like, we're all going to die but one of us. But it's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
We're going to have a grand time doing it. And then he's like, yeah, let's do it. I want to go kill people.
Well, we'll get to that. But we talked about the Quantum Quorum a lot. We have not really said who is in the Quantum Quorum.
So,
So the Quantum Quorum is made up of the World Forger, who I know nothing about. All these characters, I know nothing about him. I know about the Time Trapper, so does Kirk, because we saw his beginning in Rise of the Superwoman, right? And he's actually Doomsday. Spoilers.
But I don't know anything from the in-between of Alpha Omega, or not Alpha, well...
Rise of the Superwoman.
Rise of the Superwoman
and this. So. And then we have Grodd, who has some insane power boosts because of the event We Are Yesterday, which, again, outside of me, I don't think any of us have read. And then Booster Gold, who is returned from the Absolute Universe and is brimming with some Omega energy now.
Now, you said that he was in there for years, and it said years as well. Yes. But then he said later in the story, eons.
I think eons is correct, because so we haven't got it confirmed, really. Like, he says eons in here. My theory is that he goes over there, and then Darkseid brings him back on time to witness from the creation of Darkseid's creation of the universe to when Darkseid comes to invade. Right. And I think that he has to live and see through all of that time.
Okay.
And so I think that like did something to him.
Okay,
And, like,
because obviously when we saw him going into the universe, it's like he's just going into like kind of a modern day version of the Darkseid universe, right?
Yeah.
And so him being there for eons doesn't make sense in that context. But
So-
if it's like that, then that does make sense.
when we get to the Superman story, which I think is called the Omega Legion, I'm not sure if I'm right. Superman and Superboy Prime are sent by Time Trapper into the Absolute Universe, right, to find Booster Gold. And they go into the Absolute Universe in the 33,000s, like sometime in the 3,000s. Like they're in the way future of the Absolute Universe, right? So he's still alive there, and that's where we see him, and that's where they save him from.
So at a minimum, it's 1,000 years.
At a minimum, he was there for 1,000 years,
which is still a long time.
That's still a ridiculously long time.
Yeah.
So I think we'll probably figure that out as this goes, or we'll figure that out later. I don't know, but yeah, he's back. He's been through some stuff. He's seen some things that maybe he did not want to see.
He's got a long, scruffy beard now.
He does. He looks a little bit like Chris Pratt. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, but then they convince Superman, which I like how we already were calling back to. We're calling back to the kind of the board game a bit, where we're like, oh, this is the way that everyone can win.
Yeah, because he was saying he doesn't like this is Superman. Obviously, he doesn't like playing a game where somebody has to lose.
Yeah.
Is the whole thing. And so he's like, yeah, I mean, the rest of us are gonna die, sure, but like, really, because we're all heroes, we're all winning because we're doing the right thing and saving the world. So it's like
the idea is either the entire world dies or a lot of heroes sacrifice their lives to win.
And so when you put it more on the
and
sacrifice
so it creates
side,
it's the idea of like, yeah, we have to fight each other for one quote unquote victor, but the ultimate goal is that any one of them, they don't care which, beats Darkseid and saves the universe.
And that saves everyone.
And
so
therefore,
everyone
it is an everyone winning idea.
Yeah.
So, and it's a good connection.
It is a good connection. I like
During the exposition heavy scene again is when this was. And
Yeah.
so then also bringing it back to what we saw at the beginning kind of helps to break up it just being a bunch of exposition all at once.
Yes, and I like that. And no, so quickly I want to go over this. I love
yes.
I love the biblical 7-day kind of imagery that we get
Yeah.
that they have before the championship. So quickly we'll go over that and then we'll go
Except
over
it's not 7 days and on the 7th you rest. It's 7 days
Days
and on the 7th you
fight.
kill all the other heroes.
Yeah. But I love
And then they take steps to ensure that everybody wins.
that everybody
So
wins, which is
suspension of habeas corpus and it really interesting that it said, and Mr. Terrific really didn't like this.
Yes, I love how they're noting that because I think it's just Mr. Terrific and the Titans that were left behind.
Yeah.
And so I want to know. I'm so interested.
I want to know
to
their
this.
perspective of
We have the first issue of what the Titans are doing.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Which
their
is gonna be
perspectives
interesting.
though of the villains disappearing.
Escaping.
That's-
Because that's not explained at the end of
Yeah,
this.
not.
they just show up. So is it like the
Spoiler
apocalypse machine just kind
Spoiler
of
alert, yeah.
pulls everybody in and it doesn't matter like that they're like locked in this prison, or did they have to break out of the prison
I think they might
and
have
then
had to
make
break-
it
I think
in? And
I
like,
think
was
it
it
is
their
they broke
choice
out.
to go to the center of the earth, or were they brought to the center of the earth? Is kind of the question.
Yeah.
And then how
I
does
would
the
think they
people
would
left
break
behind?
I think
'Cause
they
Superman
break out
was
because you
surprised
kind
by
of
that.
see
Yeah.
you kind of see a couple of their villain like in the page where they send the little drones to each of the villains. You see their reactions.
Joker, Mr.
And so like
Freeze,
Joker
Croc.
says a very Joker line of like, "Well, hello there," and you can like when you read that, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, there's no way that one actually catches him.
Or Lex Luthor.
And
he's
same
like-
with Lex Luthor where he says, "You think you can outsmart me?"
I think he might have destroyed that and then followed it and traced
Yeah.
it there again.
Yeah,
And,
and
like,
that's definitely possible too.
I'm
but
not
the
sure
way
about
that
some
they
of the
said
like.
it makes
No offense to them, weaker villains. They're like.
But yeah.
But it
how
just
they
made
got
sense
out,
to me
but
though
yeah.
that like
They
they
would've
just
escaped.
succeeded. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like it's that the heroes just weren't holding back anymore. It's like we don't care about your rights anymore. We're just gonna put you in prison for a little bit.
Right.
So like I thought that that's what it was. Instead of like the normal like we're actually gonna fight you and it's gonna be like a fair fight and we're gonna
Right.
you're gonna have your due process and things like that. They were like, well, for this significant event, you're
Yeah,
not gonna
it's
have
so
your rights.
important.
So I
You
thought
need
that
to just
that's
take 'em
why the heroes would have won. And so I thought they were all successfully trapped. They were all
Yeah.
successfully taken by the. Is it Justice League?
T-Spheres.
Would it be but Justice League?
Justice League
Okay.
and the T-Spheres.
So that's what I thought it would. But then there was also a moment, let me see if I can find it, when the villains show up. It's a little bit farther? Okay. We're actually just like sifting through this comic.
Okay, yeah. We're
So-
skip ahead a little bit.
When the
Skip
villains show up here,
this area.
the
No, you missed it.
I know, but where's
That's this page.
They don't explain it. They just show up. Right?
No, because there's an interaction with Lex. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's an interaction with Lex, and it says, then Lex. But before he crosses the finish line, Lex turns to Superman and smiles. There's something in Lex's smile. It takes Clark a moment to realize that it's pity. It's a smile that says, go save effing cat from a tree, but leave this to us, Boy Scout. So leave this to us makes it seem like we're also... like, we're on your side.
Well, yeah, because if Darkseid wins, he's destroying the entire universe.
Yes,
Right.
which includes them.
But,
Here's
here's
the
the thing, though, that's interesting. Because what we've been talking about and how they set it up a bit, you're going to be able to... whoever wins shapes the universe.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So part of the villains is like, oh, we don't want to destroy the universe.
Right.
But if they win, they all get to reshape it. Right?
And so that's the thing that's what I was thinking, is it kind of makes it seem more like when he's saying, leave it to us, Boy Scout, it's... First of all, you're actually not going to be capable of being ruthless, and we are, type deal. Which is obviously part of the controversy about this.
Right.
That the Justice League debates. But it's also, it seems more like what he's saying is, even if one of us villains wins, we're still not going to reshape the world to be like what we want it. We'll just reshape the world to be not Darkseid's.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like more to me.
No, I think the villains are still...
I think... Well,
I think
this
there's a
Lex
level...
Luthor, the character arc that we've seen this Lex Luthor go on through Joshua Williamson Superman run, he is not the evilest
I
Lex
don't
Luthor
think-
we have.
Okay.
I don't
so like
think-
maybe if the Joker won, it would be like that. But maybe if it were
I
Lex
don't
Luthor, he
think-
would be like, okay,
Yeah.
we'll be fair. I'll be fair to you.
Yeah.
Like I won this tournament. I'll just put things back to normal, and then I'll beat you the old-fashioned.
I don't
way.
think this Lex Luthor said this to be a jerk to Superman. I think because what we see immediately after is Superman, for once in the entire comic, actually gets what Bruce was trying to tell him the whole time, to just get off his butt and get in there. And I think that's why Lex Luthor did this, is he knew
It's a
that
motivation.
Superman
It was
disliked
to be
him.
helpful.
You know, he like Lex Luthor, we had the whole arc with Luthor being kind of a good guy, and Superman doesn't like that.
Hold
and
on,
Luthor
you're
is
saying
like,
he rage baited Superman?
yes,
He rage
to
baited
get him
Superman.
in.
Into the portal.
No, that's what I'm
This
saying.
is
Because
Kirk's favorite character now.
look,
Yeah.
because he sits there and he like knows, because it's pity. Luthor looks with pity, not hatred
Yeah.
of someone who hates Superman.
Yeah, it's like,
it's pity of like,
wow,
hey,
I see that you're not
like,
actually doing what you need.
you're
to be doing
obviously
here.
not in it.
To
Like
win it,
you're not in it to win it, and if you're not going to be in it to win it, let the people who will actually fight for this universe go in. Is
Yeah.
basically what
And
he's
so
saying
he kind
here.
of shows
Yeah.
Luthor
You
that he
know.
will actually fight
And
for it
then-
in his last bit.
Yeah, and I think Luthor knew that either it would make Superman back down and let somebody who might
Yeah.
have a chance of winning win, or Superman
Yeah.
back down, or get Superman to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're running up on 30
two,
minutes.
Last
so
two quick topics. Okay,
Yes.
First one, all of the three deaths. So
Yes.
I want to talk about the three
gotta
people
hit
that are, well, there's more in the background, but the three ones that
Three
they
official
primarily showcase, right? Okay, the first one being Shazam.
That was
which
crazy.
I don't know about you. I thought that was brutal. Like with the page
Yeah.
turn where he's about to say Shazam and he's cut off midterm and he's just squished like a bug.
Yep.
Was absolutely
Well,
terrifying.
I love how they get him. They don't cut it off at like "sha."
It's like
They cut it off at "shazat,"
like he's about to
and he
finish
doesn't
the
even
sentence.
finish. Like
Yeah, it's like he
It's-
was so close.
he was
He's
so close.
Yeah.
And the fact that, okay, so like in events you want to establish the tone, and if you want it to be serious, you have to kill someone off. Mm-hmm. But Shazam is not like a nobody character.
Right.
It's not like they're going to kill off Blue Beetle or something, right?
Yeah.
Like they killed off Shazam, who back historically has been one of the pillars of DC.
Yeah,
right?
he's a big one.
Yeah.
Well, it's like
He's a moneymaker.
He's a
really,
moneymaker,
is what it
yes.
is.
it's like, you know, I feel like a lot of events they would kill off a character like Robin.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like he's important, people, or Green Arrow, or like people know about him, a lot of people care about him, but he's not like the main, you know, he's not a Batman, he's not a Superman, he's not a Shazam.
Yeah, but Shazam has had an ongoing since the 40s. Like,
Right.
He's not someone that you kill.
And the
just in
fact,
background.
like,
or they haven't before. Really.
they were so merciless in it that it was like he didn't even get
It was
a
a
chance.
blink and you'll miss it type
He
deal.
didn't, but also he didn't even get a chance to like become Shazam. They killed him when he was a boy.
It was
Yeah.
Like, dude was like, what? How old is he?
He's like 12.
12? He's
Yeah.
like
A kid.
a 12-year-old kid, and they just crush him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that leads into the more controversial of the two deaths.
Whoa, there's three deaths.
There's
'Cause we
three-
gotta talk
oh,
about
well,
Ambush Bug.
Nobody
My
cares.
favorite. I love this.
No,
Knock-
that was
knock off
comedic.
Deadpool.
That was comedic.
I
It
lo-
was comedic,
I got some
but
because
it's
this has
knock
been
off Deadpool.
serious this entire time, and then we just get a little joke in there.
Yeah.
So we're gonna note that our greatest, most favorite hero, Ambush Bug, died.
So sad.
If put R.I.P. in the comments just for Ambush Bug, not for Shazam. Or Kirk, who you're trying to get to, the real big death of this was Batman. And I love that they killed off Batman, and I love how the Joker just, like, harpoons him.
Clip
like,
that. I love that they killed Batman. Clip that.
Well, like, I love that they... Because I feel like DC is such a Batman-centric company, and it's not like I don't like Batman. Like,
so it's what you were saying a second ago, Gabe, of, like, it's not that they killed off, like, the Robin or something like that. Is that they killed off the bigger character of Shazam. Yeah. Well, they killed off one of the big three pillars.
Yes, they
Batman.
did.
It's Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a third of the big pillars gone.
They effectively... And the crazy thing is, they kill off Batman, and you know who did make it through? Robin and Red Hood.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
like, that's... I feel like if I'm writing an event, and, you know, typically, and obviously this is an exception, but typically I'm writing an event, and I want to make it serious, I'd be keeping Superman, I'd be keeping Wonder Woman, and I'd be keeping Batman. But maybe, like, I'd kill off Red Hood or Robin, or, like, you know, maybe a Green Arrow or Flash.
But then if that were what were happening in this, everybody would know who's going to win by the end.
Yeah, it'd
like,
be
it's not really
Superman in the finals.
Well, exactly, like, for...
And then that would be so controversial, like, Batman versus
not
Superman.
To hit, not to hit on the bracket, but just real quick, like, I filled out the little bracket, and I did it knowing they were going to throw curveballs, but I decided to suspend that and just...
And he made Batman win.
Like, I put it up, obviously, I was sitting there, and I was like, okay, well, if they do this logically and there's no curveballs, it'll end up being Batman v Superman in the final two, and Batman's ruthless. Yeah. And Superman's not. Yeah. You know,
like Superman's going to hold back a little bit.
Exactly.
Which is kind of one of the things they've talked about.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, Batman's dead, so...
Batman's dead.
That's not going to happen.
Yes.
And I do like that they've set up a couple of things, though, that are like the curveballs that are thrown in. It's not just like, oh, we're randomly going to kill off a guy. It's that there are traps. And so it's like, you can be doing everything right and still lose.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that can still lead to some of the lesser known characters maybe coming out on top in the championship.
You could have like a Harley Quinn making it till round 4, potentially.
Which would be insane.
Which
would
be
not
crazy.
Like that because I'm not a big Harley. Actually. And then we get reveal. It's the Heart of Apocalypse.
Is the narrator.
Is the narrator, and we see where these kind of heroes that have died have become statues, which I thought was a really interesting part.
What's interesting to me is if we look at the next page, and this is the part where they reveal that the Absolute people are coming in. They also look kind of like statues.
They do.
Which makes me wonder, like, are they going to have to fight statues of all of the heroes that died?
Yeah.
Including, like, Shazam.
Maybe that's like the final round. Whoever wins is not really fighting Darkseid one-on-one. It's like Darkseid plus this horde of everyone else you've beaten.
It's like Super Smash Bros.
It's like
this you gotta, like, unlock the statues because, like, whoever it is has... The Darkseid lookalike, actually, has, in Super Smash Bros, has taken all the people and, like, frozen them, and, like, he's using them, and you gotta, like, free the statues to join your side instead.
Yeah,
so this is obviously just a ripoff of Super Smash Bros.
And I mean, basically.
Well, actually,
Super Smash Bros. With DC superheroes is a great idea. By the way, like, give us that game. Injustice is not that game. Give us that game.
Yes.
Not that game.
And then last thing, Darkseid is one of the characters.
Yes.
Kirk's immediate assumption. You want to tell them your immediate assumption when you read this?
Yeah. So my immediate assumption was just based on, like, them trying to set it up as, like, Darkseid is behind Booster Gold. He says, I was in the fight here, and then it zooms into Booster Gold. But then obviously there's, like...
He's got the Omega in his
eyes. Yeah. And it's like... And he looks a little angry and, like ruthless here. And then it's also, like, he was actually with the longest exposure to Darkseid, too.
And he's the one who actually gave the idea.
That's true.
If we go all
He's
the way
the one
back.
Because Time Trapper was like, "Why are you encouraging this Booster Gold?" Like, so it could have been like that. Darkseid was really encouraging it.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
maybe
but your thought
it's
is
different. I thought the way that this was phrased would be that Darkseid is one of the characters in the fight. Like that's the way I thought it through, kind of. So I was thinking that he's in the bracket actually, and so there's not a chance for the heroes to win because Darkseid's already there. And he's already one of them, pretending to be one of them in the bracket. And he's going to win.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the way the Heart of Apocalypse was talking about it is like, I already know who's going to win. It's going to be Darkseid.
It's going to be none of us.
What I was thinking is neither of what theirs is. And it's a little bit based off of the release schedule for DC Comics in the DCKO. But for any of y'all who know the upcoming releases, you might have noticed that there's DCKO Night Fight, which is... the whole
Batman arc,
Batman's coming
which
back.
is weird because you're like, what? He just died.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where I think, what if it's this whole situation where Darkseid's actually going to be Batman at
He's
the
gonna pretend
end?
to be
He's going to
Batman?
come back into the tournament
Maybe.
as Batman, potentially. As, like, a really interesting sort of twist there.
Or so another thing to what you were saying, Judah, of like the Heart of Apocalypse like knows like that not actually nobody's gonna win, and Apocalypse Darkseid is gonna win.
Darkseid.
Is that it's set up this entire time. They are like totally like bonded together. The Heart of Apocalypse and Darkseid are bonded together. They are basically like one entity.
Yeah.
So it seems to me more like actually just it's Darkseid is the one narrating it, and Darkseid is so confident in himself and in the traps that he's set up and in the way that the tournament is run and in him secretly being one of the contestants in the tournament that he's like, I have it rigged. It's not necessarily that he has foreknowledge of what will happen, but it's more so that he's so confident in his own rigging of it that he thinks he's going to win. So that's also another option that I've thought through.
Yeah, I think the only character that has a chance of really standing out and being different is Superman.
Yeah,
like, I think
because he's going to have some character growth in this.
Yes, if we're going off like Infinity War Endgame logic, the one in like 14 million.
Yeah,
I think the 1 in 14 million is Superman being the winner. Right, like that's the oddball out situation here because Superman's not.
Yeah, I
to
don't
be
think.
ruthless.
Yeah,
I don't
and
think
it's also that
Superman's
you
gonna
wouldn't
win.
think.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that Superman would win because they killed off Batman. You're like, okay, so they're gonna like totally curveball it.
Yeah.
But then the curveball will be that they won't curveball it and
Maybe.
Superman will win.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a feeling that they're going to set it up where Superman starts getting ruthless, and then there's going to be some surprise that just hits Superman like a freight train, and he just gets taken out.
Maybe literally. A kryptonite freight train.
I think he's gonna be put in a situation where
Yeah.
he's gonna have to kill someone, and
Yeah.
he's not gonna do it, and he's gonna go out of the fight. Whoever wins gets Darkseid powers.
Yeah.
Gets corrupted. Superman's gonna have to fight them in the end.
Yeah.
maybe.
That-
Yeah,
that
maybe
might be
that's
something like
also
that.
possible. There's a lot of different ways
There's a lot
they
of
can go about
possibilities.
this, but we want to hear what you're going to think about it.
Yes.
What you think could happen in the future. What you think even just about this one issue that we read.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
Last thing, ratings. We'll start with Kirk.
Ooh.
Out of
Oh, yeah.
10, give me a rating.
It's hard. I would say I actually still enjoyed reading the absolute Wonder Woman more than this.
Okay,
Like
that's
this
fair.
is big. This is good. Like it's very captivating, and I'm so interested to see where it goes. But also, I just really liked that one, so I wouldn't put it above that. As far as an actual rating, that might put it at like a 9, something like
probably a
that.
9. Yeah.
And what's also dragging it down a little bit is the confusion with the time travel stuff at the beginning and things like that.
Yeah.
But-
Gabe, what are we rating this out of 10?
I'd probably put like a 9.3-ish, somewhere
9.3?
right there. Like,
I'll put
it's
points in there.
definitely
Yeah.
top tier, you know. Again, with the confusion, and also because it's an event, like, I want
Yeah.
to be a little reasonable, because, you know, events can overhype.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
little
and
bit.
also we haven't got the full event.
Exactly.
And so, like,
We've got
after
the
we've
start.
got
That's
it
true.
all, and in hindsight,
That's,
maybe
if
it's
they
all
ruin
brought
it
up
all,
by
if the like next issue is terrible, that could make this issue terrible by comparison.
Yeah.
Or if the next issue is really good, it could become a
yeah,
9.7.
yeah, it can like drag it
Yeah.
up or down
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing. I'm thinking this is a 9 out of 10 right here. So
Yeah.
I would say go to your comic shop, pick up an issue of
Definitely.
DCKO. They definitely have them in stock. This is selling well.
Yeah, this is
Make
like
sure it's all
the
you
current
can.
thing.
This is the current thing. This is beating out probably all of Marvel's sales single-handedly, if
Oh,
I had
easy.
to guess. But
Not
Yeah.
that that says very much, but
No.
not that this is just Marvel.
Yeah, and
Comics,
actually, real quick, like, if y'all have, you know, winning predictions or any, like, bracket predictions y'all want to, like, share with us, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
yeah, and
and
if-
they may go in
yeah.
the comments and share what their brackets
sure,
are
yeah.
too, and I will
definitely.
consider making a bracket.
Yeah,
for
and if
myself,
you want
too.
us to make a video on our brackets,
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Leave
we
that
get
in the
enough
comments
comments
below.
saying to do that, then we'll do that.
yeah,
as well.
110%.
Because, man, I just love discussing theoretical.
It's comic
yeah,
stuff.
It's so fun.
It is very fun. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in and spending your probably cut down 35 minutes with
Ish.
us ish. We thank you so much for watching. This has been Judah,
Kirk,
And Gabe.
and good morning, good evening, and good night, and God bless.
bye.